Alright everybody, I figured this video has been a little overdue. Let my bike warm up a little bit. So I haven't had a chance to actually introduce my own personal 2008 Suzuki Hayabusa. Bought this from the National Power Sports auction out of Dallas about 6 months ago or so. Had about 20,000 miles on it. Complete Yoshimura exhaust all the way to the engine. And pretty much other than that, she's stuck. So as soon as I got it, put new fairings on it. I did do an aftermarket Vortex V3 sprocket. And I put the aftermarket levers on, which are, $20 on eBay nowadays. And then of course the patented, keychain, gotta have that. But otherwise I've kept her completely stuck. And been a phenomenal bike for me so far. Very big, very comfortable, and extremely fast. And in introducing this bike, we're going to go on a little safety talk about going to the racetrack with a Hayabusa, or really any bike for that matter, or any bike you want to do a high-speed run on. So this particular bike you have to be in about third gear before you can give full throttle. Because anything in anywhere in there in first and second, if you full throttle, you're gonna spin the back wheel and lose traction. And third gear in most of the rev range, from about 5,000 to 7,000, you'll spin the back wheel too. So you've got to be exceptionally careful pulling out and expecting to get on the gas, because she will spin, especially with an aftermarket sprocket like I've done. Definitely not a beginner bike. For anyone considering a Hayabusa, I definitely recommend riding a leader bike for, I don't know, at least 6 months of experience before you decide to own one of these, or especially give it gas. Now, one thing that is nice on the second generation Busa is this little mode button, so you can actually change the power mode, as they call it, from A, B, and C. So A is basically full power, which is automatic every time you start the bike. You can hold the buttons and go down to B mode, which reduces the power a little bit, and then you can go down to C mode, which is really good for like the rain. Still extraordinarily fast, but reduces it to where you're not going to use but about 50% throttle. Because like I said, if you're beginning out on this bike, I definitely recommend, putting in C mode, and that way you don't have to worry about giving it too much power, because this thing will get out of hand. And another really good thing about this bike is, although it is big, which is fine, it is just really comfortable. I mean, the seat's comfortable, the seating position is comfortable, my hands are a little more upright than a full-out sport bike. I mean, it handles okay, it's definitely not the best, and it's not the worst. The good thing is, if you're riding the highways or traveling with it, more than, say, 10-minute ride, the wind actually on the front end is not bad. And extremely stable if you're really going to punch it up to, well over 100 miles an hour. Well, all that well and good. I would really prefer a little bit better brakes in the front. Sometimes I feel like it just needs about maybe extra 10-15% stronger brakes. On the secondary note of what I was saying about going to the racetrack or any other high-speed run, I mean, everybody should do their own, you know, good, just double check, you know, make sure your chain's lubricated well, tire pressures are good for what you're gonna do. Yeah, check your tire pressures, you know, make sure your forks aren't leaking, brakes are good, you know, oil's good. And what got me, and fortunately enough I'm a decent rider so I didn't have a problem, check your fairing bolts for the best. Make sure you don't have anything zip tied or anything else like that, but check all your fairings, especially your big side panels. And the reason I say this is because I personally was at the Pine Valley Raceway in Diboll, Texas, doing a few runs, just playing around, having a good time, nothing extreme. And when I got up to about 130, 140 miles an hour toward the end of the quarter mile, the whole right side of the fairings ripped off and hit me in the head and went flying with a nice section stuck in the side of my face. Not exactly ideal for anybody going very fast. So my biggest recommendation to anybody that's gonna, you know, go over, you know, 50 miles an hour is make sure your fairings are in good condition. I mean, I know we all every now and then, you know, you lay a bike over, you crack a piece of fairing off, that loses all the bike's aerodynamics, and now air is pushing and pulling on different portions of the bike frame and the plastics. And the best thing is just make sure all that's secured with, you know, factory setup, because you don't want to have a issue like that at high speed. I mean if I went down at 140 miles an hour on a racetrack, that would suck greatly. It might be one of the last things I've done. But yeah, overall, this has been a great bike. It's done well. You can actually find neutral position while the engine's running, which is always a plus. One thing I did have to do was change out the factory headlight bulb, because that thing was horrible. Couldn't see a thing. But I changed it out with one of the aftermarket bulbs that have their own little amplifier on the back, and that thing is bright. That made a huge difference day and night. And of course, more to come.